Today we're going to talk about what I look for when evaluating real estate. In the Bay Area, San Francisco, Marin County, East Bay, we have a multitude of different types of real estate. We have condos, TICs, single family homes, old wood structures, we have new condos. All of it I have sold in the past, and I look at constantly. I am out in the field all the time with my clients looking, and I want to be able to talk to you about really what I'm looking for when evaluating property. Let's just start right off the bat with an old wood structure, because honestly, that is the most important. Let me just tell you, the number one thing for homeowners out there, what do you need to prevent from happening to your home? Let me think about that. Yes? Water intrusion. You don't want to have water intrusion. You get one leak from your roof and it gets larger and larger the longer you delay it, and then you're going to have dry rot issues. And those people that say, yeah, I've got a little leak here, I got a little dry rot there, they don't take care of it, it's just going to cost you more down the road. So what are the things that I look for in a wood structure? I looked at the roof. We want to make sure that this property is not leaking, that the flashings throughout the roof are nice and solid. We want to know the age of a roof. If it is a flat roof, we want to see if there is bubbles within the tar and bitumen up top, and make sure that it is watertight. I guarantee you the worst thing you can do is avoid replacing a roof or avoid maintaining a roof. Just maintain your roof. It's actually not that hard, especially for flat tar roofs. You know, you can get up there, you could do some of that stuff yourself if you're handy like I am. So that's the top. Let's talk about the bottom. When I go into wood structures, a lot of those older buildings, they're made with Douglas fir timber, which is a softwood, but it's actually very, very, very strong. And when you see the posts inside that's holding the structure up, those are most likely Douglas fir. When you look at things and you look at it, look at the basement foundation. One of the key lending questions is going to be, is it a brick foundation? It's an old 100-year-old building. Most likely it's got a brick foundation. Those lenders need to know that. The appraiser is going to call you out on it. So be upfront with your lender, because the reality is some of that brick foundation, you can't get around it. It's everywhere in the city. But you can have it capped if it's not capped. Most of the time it's going to be capped. You might find areas that you can see that there's brick in there, but there's a capped foundation. And the other part of that is when you're looking at the foundation, how big is the aggregate concrete on your perimeter? That'll give you an indication of how old it is, because the older concrete has bigger aggregate within the concrete. Newer concrete, nice and smooth and pretty, right? So I look at the concrete. We also want to make sure, concrete cracks, right? But as long as there's no slip, that's where you're going to have foundational issues. I'm not really worried too much about a crack running the concrete pad. As long as there's no slip, then you're good. If there is a slip, that is a big red flag, and you need to know about it, and you need to be able to be, take consideration when you're buying a piece of property that has a slip on it. I have represented buyers that have it. They realize it, they know it. At some point they renovate and they take care of it and they shore up the building. So it is one of these things that might put off buyers. Other buyers will see it as an opportunity to improve the property, especially if they're going to go up, for instance, they're going to do the foundation anyway. Then you sort of look at the seismic. When you look at the sill plate, which is a piece of wood that goes around the foundation on the perimeter, is it bolted to the pad? Is it bolted to the sides of the concrete, right? So every 24 inches or so, 18, 24 inches, I'm looking for a bolt, right? That's going to bolt the wood structure to the concrete. And, in San Francisco Bay Area, yeah, definitely get it bolted. We're also going to be looking at T-bracing and seismic. When you're looking at it, and you see exposed, the original exposure of the wood, hey, at least you could see it. But I always like to see, when I get into a garage, that it has been drywalled on the inside. If it has been, that's just going to give you shear wall strength, and just one of those other things that's going to help you decide to say, this person took care of the property. Seismically, it's a little bit stronger. I'm also looking for T-brackets on top of the wood posts. And of course, if you have an old Victorian, old building that has a stainless steel girder that goes throughout, or let's just say a girder, that goes throughout, you're good. You're golden. You've had an engineer take a look at it. You have reinforcement. You'll look at it. Structurally, that house will be fine. The other part of that is old Victorians in the city, especially the old row houses, they are all wood structures. So earthquake goes, they're going to be rotating with each other. They are designed that way. That's why when you are inside of an old Victorian and it's still lath and plaster, you might see those diagonal cracks. If you know real estate, you'll see it. You know, sometimes that lath and plaster might have a bow to it. I'm always looking at the texture of the walls, because if it's heavily mudded, I am always sort of wondering, why is it so heavily mudded? What are they trying to hide, right? So those are sort of key indicators. When it comes down to, say, newer condos, I'm really not too worried about. Newer condos, you know, especially if it's down in South Beach, for instance, hey, the worst I've ever had to do is replace an HVAC system, a couple GFI plugs. It's always good to get braided cables on your washer and dryer. You know, please make sure you do that, because whenever you hear about, well, what if one of the units upstairs leaks water? Where did that water come from? It came from the washer and dryer because they didn't put the braided cables on it. So that is a great update. And you could also put in a pan underneath the washer and dryer just to catch any excess water. Now, beyond that, you know, we're always going to get a home inspection, which really covers sort of what is going on with this building, what are the electrical, what are the plumbing, what's the roof made out of, foundation, all of that. And then we're going to get a pest inspection. A pest inspection, to me, is always going to have a number associated with the fix. But that's really important, because you're talking about issues with the property, damage with the property, dry rot, beetles, termite, all of that we want to know. When you get outside of the city, say in Marin County, get yourself a sewer lateral. We just worked on our sewer, and yes, there's no big trees, but still you had root balls. So I'm not really worried about root balls, but what if there's a slip within the drainage? So those are the things that you really want to make sure that you're covering yourself from a purchasing point of view, because to redo a septic and your sewer line could be 10 grand. All of these things we want to explore and make sure that everything lines up before you even write an offer. Now, good real estate agents, when you're listing property, we're going to get these inspections up front. There is absolutely no reason to delay or have the buyer do these things. I'm always going to try to get, really when it comes down to single family homes and wood structures, we want to be protected. When it comes down to condos in the city, I'm not too worried about it, because you're talking about new structures. I'm always going to want buyers to investigate the property, right? We always, at the end of the day, want to make sure that everybody is secure. From a buyer side, that you know what you're getting. From a seller side, that you are disclosing as much as you can. Because remember, California is litigious. We don't like lawsuits, and we do whatever we can to avoid conflict and really try to make everything as smooth as possible. So remember, do your due diligence, take your time. I know sometimes there's a lot of pressure, but in those disclosure packets, if you're making offers, there should be those reports. The other report that's going to be out there is going to be sort of the JCP geological report that'll talk about flood zones, fires, and other zones within your area. That's like a 50-page inspection. And it's really, just look at the second page and you're going to see a lot of no's. And if there's a yes, pay attention, right? Because it could be in a liquefaction zone, for instance, in the marina, and some of those liquefaction zones are on one side of the street and not on the other. It is that crazy. So just make sure you do your due diligence. I'm here to help you, whatever you need. If you are thinking about buying or selling and you're looking to get advice and make sure that everything is done accordingly, then give me a shout and I'm happy just to talk with you. And if we get along, then we take it to the next level. And beyond that, if you want to learn a little bit or follow me on my Instagram, my Facebook, my LinkedIn profile especially, because that's really the bio of who I am in my essence, really. So please, I appreciate it. Watch the next video if this has been helpful for you. And thank you so much for watching. Take care.